Hey everyone, it's Brandon Haye for the League Winners, and I'm happy to sit down with long snapper Dalton Riggs, who just freshly committed from the transfer portal to UCF. So, Dalton, thanks for joining me.
Of course, super excited. This is awesome.
So, first of all, how long have you been long snapping? When did you finally, make a decision to be a long snapper? Let me know how that went.
Yeah. So let's see. I started my career as a long snapper back in high school. My brother Austin Riggs, he actually was in this NFL Combine today. He taught me when I was younger, around high school age, and he was doing, he started that when he was also like a freshman and started teaching me. And I was playing tight end and defensive end at the time, and playing really good, and had a blast doing that. And decided I'd also learn how to be a long snapper on top of it. And about my senior year, I was, getting pretty ranked highly, and things were going good. And ended up getting, my decision to go to BYU around then, and decided to just be a long snapper only. And it's been pretty awesome. And I've enjoyed being a long snapper.
So, early on, when you were a long snapper, did you play the other positions as well?
Yeah. So I started at tight end and defensive end, played that all throughout high school, and started both ways. I was a senior, and it was really great. I enjoyed it. Definitely enjoyed tight end a lot more than defensive end, but I like both.
Yeah, so I know you. We'll talk about the decision at UCF, but what initially made you decide to go to BYU?
Yeah. So my brother Austin, I mentioned before, he was a 4 year starter at BYU, and I backed him up for my first 2 years before I took over the starting role. And he ended up transferring over to Rutgers, and it was a great experience for him. He was able to just, I felt like he was able to learn from new coaches, learn a new scheme, new situation. It really got him NFL ready and a lot more prepared for that. And so for me, I was looking at it, I love BYU. It was awesome. I mean, I had a blast there. But I felt like it was in my best interest to transfer and learn from more coaches and get a different experience. And one thing about UCF that I actually love before I get into that is I just love the NFL readiness that they have there and the scheme and everything. So it'll be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, before you get into UCF, what was your favorite moment at BYU?
Yeah, this past year we had our big rivalry game against the University of Utah. It's known as the Holy War. It was at Utah, and we ended up having to basically drive down on offense and then kick a game-winning field goal. And that was probably my favorite experience. It was just kind of a surreal moment growing up, seeing the Holy War my whole life, and then be able to do a game winner there was it was awesome. It was definitely probably my favorite moment there.
Awesome. So, what other schools were you kind of looking at other than UCF?
Yeah, there were quite a different schools that I was in contact with and reaching out to and everything. I talked to a lot of different coaches. I guess all the ones that I was pretty interested in was Ohio State, Colorado, Iowa, Cal Berkeley. I think those were the top four that I was probably most interested in at the time.
So, what made you finally make the decision to go to Florida and go to UCF?
Yeah. A couple different things there. The one that I think is the most important is I really was able to connect with Coach Pete Olimar. He is awesome. He's talked to me, he's texted or called me almost every single day since he offered me. And just the way that he was able to tell me about things that he would do to help prepare me for the NFL and to be a great snapper here at the collegiate level and everything. It really was pretty awesome to hear from him. I'm excited to learn from him. So he's definitely a massive factor. My fiance is also from Florida. She's from Panama City Beach. So she was really excited to be able
Okay.
to go back to Florida. We got those ties there. Her family's from Florida. So that's something we're super excited about. They're not from Orlando, but they used to go there a lot and visit. So that's awesome. And just kind of a new experience. I actually love playing in the Big 12, and I'm excited for that again. But ultimately, it was just a lot of great things, a lot of great options and opportunities. I'm also really excited with with our special teams. I know at least for punt, we're going to be doing like punt and field goal. We're going to be doing pretty much an NFL scheme there, which will be great. So I'm excited to be able to snap and block and do all that.
Well, when will you be coming down to Florida and getting on campus?
Yeah, so I graduated from BYU. I'll be grad transferring after that. I finish middle of April with schooling, and then I'll be probably going early May to UCF.
Oh, that sounds awesome. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just to talk about long snapping. Actually, I went to the Senior Bowl and was able to interview both long snappers, so it was kind of cool to get their perspective. So I want to get yours too. What are some of the key factors you consider when lining up for different special team situations like punts and field goals? How do those really differ?
Yeah, was that in regards to like me personally or just the scheme?
You can talk about a little bit of both.
Yeah. So field goal for me, I think it's probably the most fun. I enjoy that one. You get to kind of walk out, you're scoring points. It's great, but it's a very simple job. You're going to be at 8 yards every time. The most important thing for me is just make sure that between me and the holder, we're the same distance and we're kind of aligned there so that we're able to coordinate and make sure that the laces will be able to go out perfectly for the kicker. And then, for the most part, you're getting help from your guard. So as long as you're blocking, and if they overload one side, you're going to help a little bit more to that side. If they don't, they're just going to stay there. But you got to kind of just stay square. It doesn't change too much on field goal, from my experience. And then punt is a lot more dynamic. I feel like there's a lot more things that can go on, at least from my experience when I was doing rugby and all the different variations there. But the most important thing is just understanding what lineup they're at, what formation they're at, to know if you're going to be blocking left, blocking right, or if you're going to be just kind of in the middle of the cover, or if you're going to be free releasing. So mainly just checking numbers, checking where they're at, and also just making sure you have good communication between your personal protector. Those are all kind of the important things you look at.
Yeah, and so also, obviously, you watch film just like everyone else. So what, when you're kind of watching your own film, what are you trying to really analyze and how you're snapping and what you're trying to improve on?
Yeah, long snapping's funny. You can spend as much time as you want on it, and you can also kind of limit it down. But I like to watch my film, especially when I'm having a really good day. I want to look at it and kind of visualize exactly why it was that good. If it was I was finished with my hands well, if my legs were locking out at a certain position, or if I was just lined up better, my feet were square. And then when you have, some snaps that weren't quote unquote a perfect ball, those are the ones when you want to look at as well and see the differences and see if you weren't finishing as well, if you needed to, shift a little bit to the side or whatever you need to do. So that's something I look about there. One thing that I also look at when it comes to coverage or blocking is how much time I have to finish my snapping motion before I get up, and just see if I'm being quick enough, if I am going too fast, if I have extra time, if there's a tendency where I'm giving away anything. Just kind of look at all those things, make sure that you're not giving anything away, because if you are, then it will give somebody an opportunity to kind of tee off on you. And then I actually enjoyed watching film this year for coverage. So we covered a lot, and I'd usually go over and see if there was like a punt return unit that was kind of giving away which way the return was going to go. If the returner favored going straight up, or if he decided to go down the sidelines or into the field, it all just kind of depend. I liked looking at that. That was all good stuff to go over in preparation for games.
Yeah, definitely. And something you probably have to deal with in Florida is how do you deal with the different weather conditions, in different field conditions, when you're snapping?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be different in Florida. I'm excited to kind of get used to all the rain and humidity and everything. I know that when we played there at UCF this past year, it wasn't that bad. It was moderately humid, and I actually really enjoyed it. I felt like the humidity was nice on my body. When it comes to overall like weather, and when you're dealing with rain or snow or extra cold, or if it's really hot, the most important thing is kind of just being consistent. So a lot of times, you think about it, say it's raining or anything, you actually don't want to overgrip the ball. You're not trying to have like a too loose. You want to keep it about the same as what you're usually doing. from my experience, whenever you prepare for those games, we have like water bottles or buckets or things, and you're dumping the water with like the balls and all that, and kind of being dramatic. But you really don't change the way that you do anything. If anything, you just focus on your finish and making sure that you're not shortchanging anything and that everything is kind of more perfect. Because if you, I don't know, if you shortchange it, you definitely have more susceptible to misses. But overall, just stay the same. Be confident in yourself, and you've done 1,000 times. You can do it more. So
Definitely. And, um, just at practice, obviously you're snapping with the kickers and the punters. But do you get in some, practice like blocking or coverage as well? How does practice usually work for a long snapper?
yeah, it definitely depends on what school you're at, and how much time the special team coordinators are able to be up there. I know I've talked with the special teams coach here at UCF, and I'm super excited. He's going to be able to be a lot more hands on throughout practice, which will be awesome. But typically, how it goes is you warm up, you get everything loose, you do all your form stuff, and then throughout practice, you're going to be, you'll have field goal times, periods, you'll have punt periods, and you do all that. But in between those, that's where you're going to work on all of your skills. So that's when you can work on trying to make sure your release is where it needs to be. You're working on your blocking. I know this past year we did a lot of blocking. We'll have a rusher on there. Just usually it's just one of our buddies, one of the kickers, or another coach that's just in there with a bag and is running at you, making sure you're getting up fast. And it's just a lot of reps. You have such little amount of reps that you have in a game, and so the most important thing is just doing those over and over and over again, getting absolutely dialed so that when you are playing, it'll be perfect.
Yeah, definitely. So, I get another question is, I know certain, units on the team kind of like have bonding. So, you have obviously with the kickers and the punters, but then also, with people on the line. So, what as a long snapper, is there a certain group of players that you kind of gravitate to, or how does that really go with the bonding experience?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to spend time with the people that you're around the most. So you're going to be very close with your special teams guys, the kickers, the punters, the snappers, and that's a given. But I think, I mean, just from my experience playing at BYU for the past, 3, 4 years, I actually am friends with everybody on the team. Like we all kind of hang out outside of it. I don't think that there's like a certain position group or anything that I gravitate towards more. It just kind of depends on your personalities and who you kind of get along with. And luckily, when you just start talking to all the guys, everybody's got the same goals for the most part. They all want to get better. They all want to be doing that. It's obviously a lot of fun when you're right next to the guy. So when you got your guards, your tackles, and they're right there and they're blocking, you have a little fun. You talk with them, see what's going on. That's definitely a lot of fun. I know when we were on punt team, we got excited because we had a lot of different action going on there. So you definitely bond with the guys that you're playing with. But overall, it's just a good vibe being on any football team, getting to know all the different guys. Everybody comes from different backgrounds, and it's really pretty special. I love football, man.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like it. Yeah, I just want just a couple more questions. And I really appreciate you taking the time for me. So, I know there's, offensive, defensive line. There's some trash talk between teams. Is there that same type of thing for the long snapper? And the defenders that are lining up, very close.
Yeah, that's a good question. It definitely happens. It depends on the teams that you're playing. Some teams are going to keep it quiet. If they're keeping it quiet, we'll usually be pretty quiet. Sometimes the guys are pretty entertaining. Like they like to make their funny jokes, their inappropriate jokes, trying to get your mind off of things. And I don't know. That's just something you just kind of get used to. But obviously, when you're scoring points, there's always going to be a little bit of a excitement both ways that are kind of the frustration, the excitement, and so people do make a lot of comments. I've had my fair share of altercations that have been good, but it's funny. It's like you don't expect long snappers to get much trash talk, but I think since it's such a crucial role in those units, people like to talk to you a lot and they like to try to throw you off or make comments to get your mind off things. Which I usually just do my job, and then after the play, if they want to keep talking, then we'll go right back at them.
Awesome. So I just want to end. So what are some things outside of football that you're looking forward to experiencing in Orlando?
Yeah, I've talked to my fiance a lot. She has told me a lot about the different Florida things, everything going on. I am not totally sure what to expect. Like, I mean, I'm a West Coast guy. I haven't been out to Florida, so I don't know all the ins and outs. Definitely excited to go. Disney World, Universal, all of those will be fun. I'm excited for the warm weather. My goodness, it's been a cold winter here in Provo, so I'm excited to get over there, get some warm weather, be out in the sun, be at the pool, just kind of doing all those fun outside stuff that you can't always do here in the cold areas. So that'll be super fun. If you got any recommendations, send them my way.
Okay, definitely. When you're getting there, it's gonna really start getting hot. I remember when I went to UCF. I graduated in 2008. Um, Especially in the summer, I would in my backpack I would bring a couple extra shirts because just walking across campus when it's like 102, just the sweating and everything. So, um, so you'll definitely get the hot weather and everything.